Namaste. Harvested a lot of vegetables from the late spring garden and got ready to cook a full Karnataka Thali or a uta. First, Kosambari with cabbage and coconut, and then tilisaru or rasam with some Thai basil, thyme, and cilantro. Of course, a vegetable stew, huli or sambar with lots of vegetables from the garden. Started to first chop up the vegetables.
I harvested all the cabbage. These are the last of it. I do like when the cabbages are this. I'm growing. These are called, I think, Wakefield something. I forgot. These are supposed to be like the market hybrid varieties where they only go very small because I hate like cutting up a cabbage and then kind of leaving in the fridge for a few days.
To make a good kosambari, you do have to finely chop any vegetables you have. You can also grate if you're using carrots because I do like thinly sliced cabbage. I went ahead and thinly sliced the cabbage and then lots of cilantro, stems and everything. Then add a little bit of salt and some lemon or lime juice. This is lime juice. I do like lime with my kosambari, but you can do definitely lemon juice. And then you have to use your hands and begin to massage the cabbage so it becomes soft. Because kosambari doesn't get cooked, it's kind of eaten raw like a salad. Using the warmth of your hands will begin to soften the cabbage. The texture changes a little bit and it is very yummy to eat. I checked for seasoning and then prepared a waggarane or tadka. A tablespoon of cooking oil. I'm using avocado oil here. Half a teaspoon of mustard seeds. A couple of tablespoons of chana dal, curry leaves, and few red chilies. And then you will toast until the mustard seeds pop and the curry leaves begin to have this beautiful aroma. And then chana dal will take an extra minute to get that brown color. And you will be able to smell the smokiness of the chili. Then you go ahead and add that into the bowl of cabbage. Kosambari is not complete without some really good fresh coconut. You can also use desiccated coconut if you don't have fresh coconut available. Any kind of nuts actually works. Mix it thoroughly and it's ready to serve. Eat it like a salad or like a side dish. As I'm making a rasam or tilisaru with lots of herbs today, it's one of my favorite things to do during a late spring evening. I stroll into the garden and then begin to pick any kind of herbs I have. Because it had rained the day before, all the herbs were extra gritty, so I had to wash them a couple of times. The base can be anything. You can use the base as lemon or tamarind. Today we are doing tomatoes. These tomatoes are actually quite tart. So I went ahead and added 2 chopped tomatoes, a sprig of thyme, few basil, Thai basil leaves, and some cilantro. The cilantro was going to seed, but it really doesn't matter because we're really trying to create a broth here and then we'll strain out all those greens later. I put the stove on a simmer, added 2 green chilies for some kick, and then simmered about 15 minutes until the tomatoes became soft. Then we will use a strainer to take all the pulp out, and then you're left with this beautiful liquid which you can just drink it like a broth, a little bit of salt, and you're good to go. But we are making tilisaru rasam today, so I added a couple of ladles of dal or tuvar dal broth. We're using that tuvar dal to make sambar. That's half a cup of tuvar dal I pressure cooked for about 10 minutes. And then we bring it back to simmer. Half a teaspoon of rasam powder because it's still very light and fragrant with all the herbs. We are not overpowering with tons of spices. Some mustard seeds. I'm waiting it to pop. it's an art of patience here. And then a few curry leaves. Lastly, hing or asafoetida. It's an acquired taste. I remember as a kid I did not like the taste of hing, but I actually love the taste of and the aroma of hing now. And then we pour it into the pot and it's ready to eat it as soup or with some rice. Lastly, we're going to chop up some vegetables for our sambar or huli. Huli really means sour in Kannada because this kind of a preparation is a little bit on the sour side because we're going to add extra tamarind along with all these vegetables. That's why it's called a huli. I'm chopping up some desi squash here. These were the seeds I got from Baker Creek or seeds.com. It's abundantly very prolific plant. I always have two plants in my garden every summer. And a Romanesco squash. This is my first time growing them. I have to say I do quite like the taste of them. We have grilled them, we have kind of used them in pasta dishes and also baked a few times, and it really works for everything. So I used one Romanesco squash and one desi squash. You just want to chop them into chunks. And then lastly, some kohlrabi.
So I do I do have more kohlrabis in the planter on the deck, which I will harvest. I think I might have like six, like 3 pockets, or 9 maybe. So we will eat them. And I always put like 3 seeds in one seed tray. That is Charles Dowding. He calls this multi-sowing method. And if you don't know who Charles Dowding is, I think he's from UK, Wales, and he's probably one of the most amazing gardeners ever there is. You should look him up on YouTube, and he's the most sweetest, charming man ever. And I probably have learned pretty much anything I know on gardening in a colder climate from that YouTube channel than any other. And
I wanted to give that extra information on how to grow vegetables in a colder climate because I have taken a long time to really learn how to grow these vegetables. As I was born and raised in India, you kind of have a tropical weather and expect things to grow easily all the time, but it really doesn't work that way. So we got all these vegetables chopped up. And then I added one tomato for some color. And then water. And then we're going to put it on a stove top to simmer. It will take about 5 minutes for these vegetables to get soft.
what I mean is, don't eat cereal because Uta will be ready in
Will you make it now?
rice sambar.
Now to make the huli paste, you can also use just sambar powder. But a huli is a huli when you make a fresh paste. So let's go ahead and do that. We will roast about a tablespoon of chana dal in a dry pan. And then add equal quantity, so a tablespoon of urad dal. Because chana dal is a little bigger than urad dal, the chana dal gets about a minute head start than urad dal. Both of them begin to toast. And when they become a little aromatic and you will see that they're beginning to change color, we'll add a very small piece of cinnamon, and few peppercorns. The spices are in the background. They're not the main ingredient in this huli because you do want the vegetables to speak in a good huli. Once they become a little brown, we're going to transfer it into a plate to cool. And into the same dry pan, half a teaspoon of cumin seeds and about 2 tablespoons of coriander powder. Coriander seeds go in so we can toast. These seeds get burn a little faster than the chana dal, so that's why I kind of roast them separately and not in the same pan. And as they become a little aromatic, we'll add some fresh coconut. I would say 2 tablespoons, maybe 1/4 of a cup. And then just let it warm up completely and then blend it all together into a paste. I add a little bit of turmeric, about half a teaspoon of turmeric and a teaspoon of chili powder to blend. Meanwhile, I had pressure cooked about half a cup of tur dal and then we add it into the pot of vegetables. The paste goes in. We add some salt. A huli is not a huli without some tamarind juice. Actually, in Kannada, huli means sour or tart. So you do want fair amount of tamarind juice into your pot. And so simmer all of that together. A good huli needs a balance of sourness and sweet. So we add some jaggery into the pot. Make sure to season for salt and let this all come to a little simmer. Your sambar or huli is almost ready. Final waggarane or tadka into the sambar, mustard seeds, again a few curry leaves if you like. A couple of options, you can add some red chili in here. Today I wanted to add some garlic, so I crushed 3 cloves of garlic, just roughly crushed them, and then allow them to kind of become a little aromatic, slightly brown, and then we will add that to the pot.
ಆಯ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಣ ಹಪ್ಪಳ ಸುಡ್ತೀನಿ.
Once everything gets simmered, you can eat it like a bowl of soup, and that's a big part of soup, so we will eat that for the next couple of days, either with rice or we will eat it just as soup. The first meal is always with some white rice along with vegetables and some pickle and everything, but then once the leftovers get reheated, they will be eaten like soup. Let's serve up the plate now. I'm toasting some hapla or papad directly on the stove top. These are made with actually horse gram. My mother-in-law sends them every year for us. Very precious load of cargo for us when we bring them. Once they kind of become a little bubbly and some brown spots, they're beautiful to eat. They're crunchy, they're spicy. Makes for a great combination with the soup and dal and rasam and rice. So we have kosambari, we have sambar or huli that gets served in a bowl, and we will take many servings of that. Some rasam, some white rice, a little bit of ghee, and a small scoop of pickle. That's a homemade mango pickle. And this is a joy to share with the family. Like a true South Indian, I will pour my huli or sambar in my plate along with the rice. First I finish that. Then I'm going to go for my tilisaru or rasam. Keep my kosambari in the plate along with some papad or hapla and pickle. Recipes for all these dishes are in my blog, which I'm linking in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Namaste.